What's up YouTube for today's video with a full gem and crystal Pokemon team. Tristan, this one is for you. This team is all going to be based on Pokemon that have a gem or crystal-like appearance. There were some suggestions put here. I thought of a couple of extra ones and I sort of merged them together into one team. I had some really good battles and I really hope you all enjoy them. Today I have got 6 battles with the Crystal and Gem Pokemon team and it's going to be very glistening. What Pokemon do you think will be on my team? Let me know in the comment section, see if you can guess them right. There's quite a few that could possibly, fit the mold there. Now, we got a random battle here on the Poke Portal. I'm not sure of the trainer's name here. We have got a Bastiodon lead. Now, I'm going to be starting with my Carbink, which is a physical sweeping set, actually. And I managed to get a nice little crit on Bastiodon. It didn't really matter all that much, however, because it still was a 2-hit KO whatever way. So Bastiodon is going to be having a Custep Berry here and setting up the Reflect at the last minute. So that's going to cause my Carbink a few little problems. So I'm going to go for a second Stomping Tantrum, and that's going to be enough to take out the Bastiodon easily. So they got their Rocks up, and their Reflect up. That was sort of their thing there. Now, the next Pokemon is going to be Salamence. Now, Salamence does not have Intimidate, which tells me straight away it has Moxie. Now, with this Salamence, it is going to have Iron Head. Now, Iron Head is going to be super effective, and it's also going to activate my Weakness Policy. Now, this is a Rock Polish Sweeping Carbink. We have got Max Attack and Max Speed, Adamant Nature. I've got Rock Polish, Stone Edge, Stomping Tantrum, and Flail. This is also Terra Normal, and I've also got Stone Edge. I almost went for Terra Normal Flail there, but I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go for Stone Edge, and it just missed the KO. It was so close. Very close there. The Reflect from Bastiodon from before kind of definitely made a difference. So I thought, I'll go into Sableye. Now, this is a true PIMPNITE special set here. It is straight evil, so I hope you enjoy it. This is a Mean Look, Trick, Disable, Recover Mewtwo. Mewtwo? Sableye? I don't know why I called it Mewtwo for. So this set is all based around tricking the opponent a Choice Scarf, right? And after tricking them a Choice Scarf, you actually lock them into there. It's like a struggle set. So if you may be new to my channel or you've been a long time viewer, I've done quite a few struggle teams and sets. This is exactly one of them. So first things first here, I know that Salamence is obviously going to go for either Iron Head or Dragon Claw or something like that. So I'm going to go for a defensive Terror, which is Steel and works well on Sableye. I'm going to give that a Choice Scarf and receive an Expert Belt. So that's going to be good, locking Salamence now into the Dragon Claw. Now, I thought they may be inclined to stay in here. And I thought, well, it's a 3-hit KO. They've got their Moxie. They've got 1 health. So I'm pretty sure they'll stay in here. So I went for Mean Look. So now I've trapped the Salamence into Dragon Claw, and they cannot swap with Mean Look. Now what I can do, the Reflector's gone as well. I thought that'd be a good idea to stall that Reflect a bit. I can go for Disable. So what Disable is going to do is disable the only move they can currently use, which is Dragon Claw. So it's going to be disabled that turn. The next turn, they're automatically going to struggle. Now, I thought, this would be good here, right? I'll go for the trick. I'll get my item back so I can do this again, and then they're going to struggle because obviously the only move they can use that turn is disable, right? So that's awesome. Got my Choice Scarf back, and they're going to struggle and faint themselves, and I lived on 4 health as well, which is awesome. I did actually contemplate going for a cover there, but I wanted to see if I could get my item back. So a true evil PIMPNITE special there. Hope you guys like this set. I might do a new struggle team. It's been a while, but I have to see what's available in the game. That's the only thing. So in comes the Metagross. I thought they may pop a Bullet Punch and get rid of me, but they didn't. And I'm going to give them a Choice Scarf, and I'm going to get a Metal Code. So this is like boosting their Steel type moves. So they did go for Bullet Punch. I've got Prankster, so I out-prioritize them anyway, which is good. So that's the end of Sableye. I could have, argument's sake, I could have gone for a cover there and started the whole process again. But I thought it'd be good to give that a Choice Scarf and lock it into that one move, which is Bullet Punch. And this also allowed me to get Suicune to actually be set up here. So the opponent is going to swap out their Metagross. That's going to allow me a free Calm Mind here. Now, this is a speedy, sweepy Suicune, so it's not right the bulky defensive calm mindset. It's a lot faster and it's a lot more offensive, like straight up offensive. So in comes Haxorus, which is an interesting swap in. Haxorus is going to get dropped here by Blizzard. So I've got a wide lens Suicune set. I've got Hydro Pump, Blizzard, Calm Mind as my sort of core moves, and Terra Blast Ground. So that's going to be the end of the Haxorus there. I've already causing some pretty good salt here. So in comes the Metagross. I thought, all right, well, I'll go for a Hydro Pump. This should do some really good damage at +1. Metagross just lives, only just. So now they're going to knock off my item, getting a lucky crit there, by the way, and getting rid of my wide lens. So I thought, well, I've got Terra Blast. That's 100% accurate. I know it's not very effective, but that's going to be enough to take it out. So I went for a normal Terra Blast and took out the Metagross. I didn't run a risk going for Hydro Pump again. So that's 4 Pokemon down. Things are going swimmingly, right? Now, the next Pokemon I come out here is going to be Hydreigon. Like, all right, I'll go for a Blizzard here. You know, it's going to be super effective. May as well go for it. Blizzard is going to land, and Hydreigon gets one-shotted there. And that was their 5th Pokemon, and they salty rage quitted after getting played like a fiddle the entire battle. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you enjoy the battles, if you enjoy the salty rage quits, make sure you hit that like button now, and let's get on to the next battle. All right, our next battle here is against, actually, I have no idea. We got another Japanese opponent, and we have a Gyarados league. So I know you, the Gyarados with Clear Body. It's a special set anyway. And this one is a Blunder Policy Zap Cannon Regis, right? So Regis is going to get that special attack boost, which is going to be good. And we've got the Gyarados going for the obvious Dragon Dance there. So I thought, all right, well, we've got, say, Waterfall coming my way. Will I live that? Maybe badly. So I went for Ancient Power anyway. They go for Earthquake instead. So I don't know if they were expecting a Terra there or something, but I believe I would have still lived that Waterfall, and I took out Gyarados with Ancient Power anyway. So that's the end of Gyarados. So interesting they went for Earthquake, or they thought I'd swap into like Suicune or something like that. Next Pokemon to come in here is going to be Koraidon. So Koraidon was a very, very good counter for this team. I mean, it's a very good Pokemon, right? So Koraidon's going to go, they're going to press A and go for a Collision Course. Took a lot of work there, and that took out my Regis. I mean, I really didn't have much to swap in at all. Absolutely nothing to swap in. So I mean, I could have gone into Sableye, but I thought it'd be better if I let Regis go into Sableye, and implement my strategy with the Choice Scarf and Trick. So I figured they'd either go for Flare Blitz or they'd swap. In this case, they did swap, which was a bit of a shame because I would have liked to trap in that Koraidon. Then they brought in Meowscarada, so they swapped that in to get around my Prankster, right? Because Prankster fails against Dark type. So I thought, you know, it's not all that bad. That means I can use it against Koraidon later, maybe. So I thought, let's go into Terapagos. This was another pick on my team, and of course, you know, it works well. It's a Crystal Gem-like Pokemon, right? Also, I will note, I did bring 2 different teams in today's video. So you'll notice later on, I actually swapped out another Pokemon, right? I'll get, you know, as you get to see the video, you'll see that. So I got credit there, which didn't really do a lot. This is the PIMPNITE special set. We got a Rock Polish Flinching Terapagos. I gave it a physical set, so we got max speed and max attack. And we've got Headbutt, which is going to be stabbed. 30% chance to flinch there, which is pretty damn good. And we've also got Zen Headbutt for fighting types, 20% chance of flinch, and Iron Head, 30% chance of flinch there for any rock-type Pokemon, fairies, and such like that. So I'm going back and forth with this Meowscarada at the moment. The sun has also disappeared. It seems to like a interesting sort of set here. So they've got Citrus Berry on there. So I couldn't really work out this Meowscarada. It's like a mix one or something like that. I actually managed to get a flinch there after the berry, which is really very handy. And I went for another Iron Head, and they're going to use Aura Sphere. So Aura Sphere is not going to be enough to take me out with Meowscarada's like abysmal special attack. So I've got Headbutt, and that's going to be enough to take it out there. So bye-bye Meowscarada, but I'll be honest, that really didn't threaten me that much. I wasn't really scared of that Pokemon with this team. Speaking of which, here comes Koraidon. So I thought, well, I've got Zen Headbutt, I've got Headbutt. How about I get a bit of damage here, and then I'll bring in Sableye again. We'll try that again. So I went for Zen Headbutt. I was hoping for a flinch here. Great damage, by the way, against Koraidon, and it didn't flinch, and they got a Collision Course off. So it is what it is, right? It's a very, very powerful Pokemon, but I had a good Pokemon to shut it down. I figured they'd either try and go for Flare, like probably Flare Blitz. That's what I was thinking. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try something interesting here. Let's go into Carbink. I reckon they're going to go for a collision course again. If I go Terra Normal, get a super effective, like turn it to a normal type, get a weakness policy activated, because now I'm a normal type, not a rock and fairy type, that'll allow me to use Flail on 1 HP and outspeed the rest of their team, because I'll get a rock polish up on this turn, right? So I predicted them to go for the collision course, which they did, so thank you for that. That's very nice of you to give me a free weakness policy. So I'm going to live with the sturdy ability, which is great. Weakness policy is going to activate. Critical hit didn't matter there. That would have taken me down to 1 HP regardless. It's coming from Koraidon, right? So we got that weakness policy, and now I can go for rock polish all on this turn, which is great. And then afterwards, I can go for a very, very powerful flail. So I've got 1 HP, I've got +2 in attack, plus I've got the, flail is at its fullest power, and I've Terra Normal as well. So it's going to be dropping stuff. So that is going to be easily the end of Koraidon. 4 health, 1 health, doesn't matter. I would have dropped it, and half the team down. So now I'm in a very, very powerful position to sweep the rest of this team. Next Pokemon is going to be Ogerpon Wellspring. I was a little bit worried about Spiky Shield or something like that. But I thought, you know what? If I do lose this or something, it's fine. At least I got rid of Koraidon. However, that was not the case. There was no Terra either. And Wellspring is going to get one-shotted, which is excellent. It's also quite a good Pokemon to this team. So that's the end of that. We've got 2 more Pokemon left. Next is going to be Charizard. Now, Charizard didn't really threaten me all that much. I thought, well, I've got Stone Edge, but Flail's still going to take it out in one shot. And that's the end of Charizard there. The rare, unfortunately, it wasn't the rare orange Charizard. It was the shiny one. Now, our last Pokemon on this team is going to be Metagross, another one. Lots of people tending to use Metagross today. I know it's the day I did the battles, there was tons of Metagross. So I thought, all right, you've got Bullet Punch. But you would have used that already, surely, right? You surely would have used that. So I thought about it for a bit. I'm like, I want to see if I can make them... I'm thinking, should I make them salty with my Sableye or Choice Scarf, or should I just go for the kill? So I went for the kill there with Stomping Tantrum. Metagross has got naturally good bulk, so I knew that it would lift that one regardless. And Stomping Tantrum isn't that powerful either. So they had Citrus Berry there on the team, giving them a bit of health back, and then for Meteor Mash. I guess they figured that they probably would live that anyway, and they tried for an attack boost, which they didn't get. But I'm totally fine with that, even if I went for Bullet Punch. All good, right? I had my Sableye in the back, and I also had Diancie as well. So I thought, all right, with Diancie, this has to be on this team. So we got Misty Explosion, Body Press, Diamond Storm, Play Rough, and this is like Terra Fighting. So it's funny enough, the Metagross was a mixed set as well. It was Meteor Mash and Flash Cannon. If they had gone Meteor Mash, then that would have one-shot me. But I've actually got an Assault there, so I lived that very, very well, compared to how I would have. So I went for the KO, and it wasn't enough. So we went into Sableye here, and I figured, well, let's get my little strategy going. Let's make them struggle. So I don't need to go for Mean Look, because it's their last Pokemon. So I'm going to give them a nice little Choice Scarf. I'm very nice like that. So I gave them their item, and the Metagross is going to keep going for Meteor Mash, and that's doing a reasonable amount. The Sableye, if you're curious, the EV's on it. It's max health and max defense. So it's a very, very bulky defensive set, and Terra Steel for obvious reasons too. So I disabled the Meteor Mash, and I can go for a cover now. So virtually what you can do with this Sableye, you just stall them a recover as they're going for struggle, right? So you don't get like feint or anything like that. So Metagross are going to struggle this turn. One more attack, and they're going to feint themselves to the struggle. Like, this is good. I'll just go for a cover. I'll go for a trick, right? I'll give them the Choice Specs back, a little bit of Soul, and then they salty cancel right at the end. So there you go, a sprinkle of Soul, 2 battles in a row. Hope you enjoy it. Let's go to the next one. All right, our next opponent here, I have no idea what the name is. If someone wants to translate in the comment section, you guys are the GOAT. It'll be awesome. So we've got a Galar Moltres as the first Pokemon. Not exactly the greatest matchup for Carbink. So I thought, I reckon they're going to swap. There's not much they can do. I mean, what are they going to do? A Dark type move, a Fire type move, a Flying move? There's nothing, right? They're definitely going to swap. So they swapped into Bolivia here. Now, this is obviously going to go for some kind of grass type move. So I went for the Rock Polish. I got my speed up. So I thought to myself, well, I don't really want to give my set away. Maybe I should just go for Rock Polish or Stone Edge. I went for Stone Edge. I decided to go for that, and I got a lucky crit, which was nice. So that's going to activate Seed Sower, and that's going to probably work against me a little bit because it won't be, my Pokemon's not going to be on 1 HP for a maximum flail, which is a bit unfortunate, but I was like, well, it's still going to be pretty powerful. Now, I'm talking about the turns after the grassy terrain heals me, right? So I got weakness policy there by the energy ball, which is good. I can still go for a powerful flail here. It's still going to be enough to take it out and such like that. So I've got flail, and I just went for that. It already took some prior damage, and I'd say that would have taken it out regardless anyway. Might have badly lived, but pretty close. So that's the end of Arbolivius. I was like, okay, this is good, right? So in comes a Lapras. I thought, all right, well, Lapras is... Ice Shard or something? Like, they know I've got Stone Edge. They know I've got Flower. They popped an Ice Shard, and I lived on 1 HP. The merch is available, and Lapras gets rolled out like a lounger and rug and fainted. I was like, this is perfect. So their grassy terrain actually worked against them, which was bad. In comes Moltres here. I'm like, well, I'm just going to go for an attacking move again. Let's get this Carbink sweep. I only got PIMPNITE channel here. And then they salty canceled after having 4 Pokemon left. Man, this team is generating salt. That's 3 salty, like, a rage quit and cancels in a row. Let's get on to the next battle. Man, this is pure salt. If you're enjoying yourself, make sure you hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Tell me how your day is. Tell me what your favorite crystal Pokemon is. And I've also got another topic to talk about too. All right, our next battle here, they got a totally legit Iron Hands. I was thinking about this, right? I still think the Carbink, Carbink and Diancie, that should evolve into Diancie. It's so weird that it didn't. So, I don't know why. It looks like a perfect baby Pokemon to Diancie. Like, it's kind of like Luvdis and a Alola Mola, right? Those 2 evolutions, they definitely should have evolved into each other. They're like, it's like a crime they didn't, right? Anyway, I couldn't do a lot here to Hairy Mama's cousin, so I thought I'll get some damage off there and I'll swap in my new Pokemon. I was like, I've got Suicune on my team as well, which is a new Pokemon. Suicune wasn't suggested at the start, but I thought, I can't do a Crystal team without Suicune, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally has a crystal on the head, Pokemon Crystal, and if I don't put it on there, I'm going to get cooked in the comment section, right? So I decided to make a Suicune set to fit this team too. If you already didn't get to see. Well, this is the first battle. Sorry, I used it in the earlier battles, but this is actually the first battle that I used it in. I will say that's why I sort of left that up. So this Suicune is a Calm Mind set, as you got to see before, and a Sweeper and Terra Ground. So I thought it'd be really, really good to swap this in. I get a free turn on their obvious Thunder Punch, and then after, potentially I could go for another one if I really, really wanted to. I was sort of thinking about what's left on their team too. I'm like, do I want to take extra damage here, or am I going to be sort of happy with a +1 and just finish this big threat off? Because it might hit me with a really powerful fighting move or get critted, so I don't want to take too many risks here. I need this. I've used my Terror up too, so I better make the most of it. So that's going to be the end of the Iron Hands there. Pretty good start to the battle. Now we've got another hack Pokemon coming. Any .com, just for any new players, if you get any of these .com Pokemon, they've just been generated into the game. They're hacked, release them, get rid of them, right? So this is a mega threat to my team. Huge threat. It can outspeed me, and it's most definitely going to go for a freeze drive, which will completely dominate me. So this is a great counter to Iron Bundle, which is Reg Ice, right? It can tank all of its hits all day, every day of the week. So they can't do anything. Plus, I've got Charge Beam, Ancient Power, and I've got this Zap Cannon, Blunder Policy there. So I'm going to absolutely destroy that. So I knew they would swap there. That doesn't really surprise me. Now, the next Pokemon to come in, another hack Pokemon, we got our Conkeldurr. So Conkeldurr is going to really cause me a lot of troubles. However, I went for the Zap Cannon and it didn't miss. So that was good. I mean, I got good damage there, but it's also bad if it is if it is a gut set as well, or I didn't get my Blunder Policy. Not so much against Conkeldurr, but some of those other Pokemon. It also might have Mach Punch and other stuff like that too. But it went for a close combat that did like crazy amounts of damage to Diancie, as expected, you know. So this set is a Play Rough, Diamond Storm, Body Press, Terra Fighting set. They're going to swap out. And I was like, I don't know if they're going to go into Iron Bundle or not. They might, but they might not. But they went into a Milotic. So this is like a whole .com team. Basically, they've got these off surprise trade, right? So excellent damage from Diancie. This seems to be a sweeping Milotic by the damage I dealt to it. They're going to go for Surf. I was like, let's see if I live. I was like, no, I didn't live with Assault Vest. Definitely a sweeping, like 252 EVs in speed and attack there. That Diancie too, the EVs, if you're curious, that was Max Health and Max Attack, Adamant Nature, Assault Vest. That's what the EVs were. So I brought in Reg Ice, and I thought maybe they'll be thinking to try and go into their Iron Bundle again. But they went into Greninja. I was like, okay, that's fine. I went for Zap Cannon and a miss. I was like, that's actually good because I can outspeed the Greninja now, and then I can either go for Charge Beam or Zap Cannon again, roll the dice again. This Regice was a max special attack and max speed set, modest nature, so 252 EVs in both, and Blunder Policy clear body. So this is going to be a Terra ground set, so good play there by the opponent, turning themselves into the ground type to get around my next electric move, but their Rock Slide missed, so unlucky there, bad luck, and Blizz is going to take them out. Would a Greninja have fainted me with Rock Slide? No. It would have done great damage, yes, but it wouldn't have fainted me. They would have needed a crit there. So that's the end of Greninja. Now they're going to bring back in Conkeldurr. I'm thinking to myself here, they don't have Back Punch. I doubt they do. They used Close Combat before. So then I got a bit of karma there, my Blizzard miss, and Conkeldurr used Close Combat and fainted me. So I guess they got their miss there in the end. So they missed the Rock Slide, and then I missed the Blizzard, which would have taken it out. So I guess we sort of got a miss there each to sort of even that up. Now, I thought here, let's bring in Suicune again. I got to draw out this Iron Bundle, or something has to happen here. So I've got Hydro Pump and I've got Blizzard. I thought, well, do I set up against this, or do I just finish it off? You know, it's going to be hitting pretty hard. So Conkeldurr is going to swap out, as I expected a little bit there, and we've got the Iron Bundle coming back in, because this is a good counter for Suicune too. So I went for Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump hits it pretty hard, because the only thing is, I think they expected me to be more of a tanky set. Iron Bundle special defense is garbage, right? So I actually did a really good amount of damage there. So since I lost my swap in for Regice, I thought, well, if I go into Terapagos here, at least my Terra Shell will be able to take that first freeze dry, right? And then I might be able to get a Rock Polish up and then go for, go for some headbutts against his and faint it. You know, that'd be great to get. At the moment, Iron Bundle is a good counter to my my most powerful Pokemon at the moment, which is Suicune, right? They're going to swap Iron Bundle out, which didn't really surprise me. And I thought, are they going to go raw into Conkeldurr or another Pokemon? But they went into it. I was like, okay, this is interesting. They're paralyzed. So they were a little lucky there that I went for Rock Polish on that turn, because I easily could have gone for Headbutt, you know. So I thought, all right, well, we'll go for Zen Headbutt. Zen Headbutt misses, which was very, very, truly lucky for them. But then they got paralyzed. Like, oh, thank goodness. You know, that's really, really good, because Close Combat would have destroyed me. Then they swapped out. It's like, okay, what are you going to go into now? Then they went back into Iron Bundle to tank the Zen Headbutt. Zen Headbutt misses again. I'm like, oh, come on. Like, that's good. Like, that's great damage on both those Pokemon I would have got. More so Conkeldurr. So then I went for a Headbutt, no flinch, and then went for a Hydro Pump there. Hydro Pump does a lot, but Terapagos is naturally bulky. So I managed to take out the Iron Bundle there. Crit didn't matter. So that's the end of Iron Bundle. Good. That was a problematic Pokemon. Very, very problematic. Now, the next one to come back in is going to be Conkeldurr. So I need a Zen Headbutt to feint this, I reckon. So at last I landed and it took it out. So I'm like, good, you know, because Close Combat would have destroyed me easily. So there's a Milotic left and one other Pokemon to come out here, and they're going to bring in their Milotic. Milotic, even a sweeping set, has good natural defensive bulk and special defensive bulk. So I thought, let's go for a scummy flinch here. So if Headbutt just lives and no flinch at all. Surf was just not enough also to take me out there, and I finish off the Milotic with a Headbutt, so that's good. They've got one more Pokemon left, and I've got Terapagos left on one, like 11 health or something. Then they brought in Gengar. I was like, well, Gengar's pretty quick. I don't know. And then they went for Sludge Bomb and outspent and took me out. So like, all right, fair enough. So I was like, I've got Suicune on a low amount of health, well, not a great amount of health. I've got Terra Ground, but their last Pokemon, this is going to be great because I don't need to use Mean Look. I can go for the Trick and Choice Scarf combination here. So they're going to pop their Terra, obviously, and it's going to be Terra Poison. So like, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'd say they're either going to go for Shadow Ball, but thinking what I've got left, I'm like, yeah, they'll probably go for Shadow Ball. So they got that Terra Poison. I've got Terra Steel, by the way, but I already Terra. So I did the Choice Scarf, gave him that. I got a Shell Bell back, and then they went for Shadow Ball. So Shadow Ball isn't going to do a lot to Sableye of max health. I mean, it did, but it didn't one-shot me. But it was fine because all I had to do was live one attack, which is good. So I can go for disable the Shadow Ball. Now Gengar is going to use Struggle, so I thought this is good. I'll just go recover here, recover off my health, and then Gengar's going to start struggling, right? And it's locked into Shadow Ball, so I was thinking to myself, At least Gengar, I know what Gengar's going to do now. It's going to go for Shadow Ball. I've got my Suicune, which has got Terra Ground in the back too, which is going to be super effective against Gengar. And I'm going to, make this dude struggle, and it's going to be on a low amount of health. It doesn't really have any way to heal itself back either. I took that Shell Bell, which is a handy, and now it's going to be struggling. Now, the thing about Disable, it only lasts 3 turns, so that will actually not be disabled. So what you have to do is you have to go, I'd recommend going for a healing move here if you're trying sets like this. Heal yourself back up. They'll have to use the same move again because they're locked into that choice item. You live the attack and then you re-disable them, right? And that the process starts again. So they essentially cannot get out of this matchup, which is perfect, you know? If that's why it's good doing it on the last Pokemon. Now, there are things to get around this. Like if a Pokemon just straight up taunt you, of course, there's things to get around this. But this is an evil PIMPNITE special set. I've used this over the years before and other sets like this, but it is very, very fun. Anyway, my opponent is going to fake the struggle, and my opponent also didn't salty rage quit. They actually played the battle out. And they didn't disconnect. So good job there. Thank you for the battle, and thank you for playing out the battle instead of just rage quitting. Let's get on to battle number 5. We're already up to. All right, this is a battle against Sammy, and I think we may have some sort of theme team here. I can't quite remember. If you can guess what the theme team is, let me know. So we got a Braviary versus Diancie matchup. It's a pretty tough matchup for my opponent here. They're going to go for a U-turn. Braviary's not going to be doing too much there at all. So this Diancie, right, when I use Diamond Storm, I really got the defense rises at all. It's got a 50% chance, but out all the battles I did right, it just rarely activated at all. I guess when you think about it, 50% chance is a big chance, but it's also a big chance to not work either. You know what I mean? Anyway, so this is going to be a Politoed, a Whirlpool trapping set, but I managed to get a critical hit there, so maybe Politoed would have lived that one. I don't know whether it had any forms of recovery, or maybe I had Protect or something like that, but I think I was probably winning that matchup regardless. It would have done some damage to Diancie though. So we got a Ninetales coming in, which is a bit fishy, and it's going to go for Will-O-Wisp. I did think Will-O-Wisp would be an option there, but I thought, look, even if I go for Diamond Storm, Ninetales' defenses aren't the greatest, and with the Adamant Diancie with a stabbed Diamond Storm, that's still going to do lots of damage, right? And it did really good damage. They, however, have sort of shut my physical Diancie down. I've got Diamond Storm again, and I've also got Body Press. I decided to go for Body Press. They're going to go for just a dry Baton Pass, I guess. Maybe they had a stat to swap to it. Maybe they had Nasty Plot or something like that to swap on. And then they brought Clefable. Clefable is going to be able to live my attacks very, very easily, and it also has leftovers as well. So I don't know what sort of set this is going to be, but I know my Diancie isn't really going to perform all that well against it. I might be able to do some damage, but not too much. Now it's going to use Cosmic Power, so I thought, all right, well, generally when a Pokemon like Clefable uses Cosmic Power, it's just going to get its defense up really, really high. And a lot of those sets can be stored power sets too. So I'm thinking, okay, it might have stored power. That's generally how it goes by. I actually went for Mystic Explosion and got a crit there, which was really good. But I figured that Clefable would definitely have a form of recovery, right? Why outside of leftovers? Why wouldn't it? So I wasn't thinking that was going to be an easy way to get around, bringing in one of my other attackers. So I thought, I need to get Sableye in here. I need to shut this thing down because it's going to be very hard to get rid of. So I've got Mean Look here. I thought to trap it in, but I thought, well, I've got to go for Trick first. So we got to swap there. I knew they had a Dark-type Pokemon on their team too, so I thought, well, at the very least, this might draw that out. And then I might be able to deal with Clefable later on. So Umbreon's going to come in here, and obviously Prankster is going to fail. So I thought, I've got to get rid of this Umbreon. Now, this part in the battle, I'm going to speed up a lot because it took a very, very long time. Umbreon's a very bulky Pokemon. And this one was, it was a bit of a gimmicky set, but it still took a lot to actually do any damage to it. So this is a flinching Umbreon here with Bite. So it kept biting me, and it was also a flinching set, and it also had Mud Slap. So I tried to get my accuracy, my speed up there, and my accuracy was getting lowered by Mudslap constantly. Then the Umbreon also had Moonlight as well, so it could heal itself off. So essentially, it was a losing battle for my Terapagos. So I had to swap into my Regice here to try and get a Zap Cannon. Now, I was pretty confident that it was in a focus. That's why I went for Zap Cannon there, also increasing my speed. I could see that it wasn't a synchronized set. So I managed to get some pretty hardy, it also had Copycat, which is really cool. It was a flinching Umbreon with Copycat, and I eventually fainted it with just raw special damage there. I could tell as well the Umbreon wasn't like super bulky and invested either, because on the special side, the amount of damage I was doing to it. So when it comes to Ninetales, I did have Ancient Power, just a fire type Pokemon, because obviously Blizzard wouldn't, I'd say Blizzard wouldn't have even fainted that, and Zap Cannon was shaky, and so was Charge Beam, that wouldn't have fainted it. So I'm glad I did have Ancient Power. Now we've got the Clefable issue again, so I cannot do much here. I went for Blizzard and that missed, and they got a free wish up. So we're back to sort of square one here. So I went for Zap Cannon, and I managed to get that Paralyze, which is going to be handy. But this Paralyze actually made the battle a lot longer. So this bit I'm going to speed up as well, because it was a very, very long section between Clefable and Regice. I was trying to do damage here, but I knew that I couldn't take the Clefable out. But I wanted the Clefable to sort of get all of its setup going, so they'd be inclined to sort of keep it in there. At this stage, I thought, well, they're probably going to keep it in anyway, so I'll just wait for them to feint my Regice, and that'll be cool. So I used up all my Blizzards. This also had like Moonblast as well, and I knew that it had stored power, because you wouldn't be sending all those up for no reason. So Regice finally is going to feint here, which is cool, and I'm going to bring back my Sableye. Now this part here was not quite as long as those sections there, but it was still fairly long. So we've got 7 minutes of the battle, so that those earlier parts went on for so long. So I needed to give Clefable a Choice Scarf. I needed to do that, so that would lock it into Cosmic Power, which is kind of what I wanted, right? So I got Leftover, which is a good item too, and they got Paralyzed that turn. I don't know what move they used that turn. Maybe they used Moonblast. I'm not really 100% sure, but I thought, let's go for Mean Look here. Let's trap it in. They've got a move. They've got only one move to use here. So they got Paralyzed again, which was fine for those turns. The only problem is when the Clefable, right, got Paralyzed on the turns of, when I was going to go for the Sable strategy, I wanted them to hit themselves a struggle, but then when they got Paralyzed, they wouldn't actually attack that turn, and that would waste turns to disable. So just in case, I went for the Terra Steel here, right? That would resist Moonblast and also resist the stored power, which I pretty sure that was coming, right? So I disabled the Moonblast. Now I can just go for Recover or Disable. It doesn't really matter. The Clefable is just completely countered here and locked in. But of course they got Paralyzed that turn, so that made the turns go a lot longer, right? So I went for Disable. Disable's got a lot of PP too. So if you want to use a set like this, waste the Disable PP. Don't waste your Recover, because you've only got 18 of them. You can also waste Mean Look as well, because you won't need Mean Look very often. In fact, you might only get one. So they managed to get a stored power off here, but due to the max health and Terra Steel, I was able to resist that. So I can leave 3 of those, which is more than enough. And also was lucky enough to get the Leftovers too. So now I can go for Disable again, and this time I can disable the stored power. Now, another thing here as well, just while we're doing this strategy, when you go for, if you want to try and use this Sableye again, and when I say that, I mean trap another Pokemon in, you have to be careful when you get your item back. So say I'm like, well, I want to get my Choice Scarf back here from the Clefable, so I got to make sure that I get that item back when it struggles on the turn that it faints. But there are some Pokemon which have deceiving health bars as well. You think you're going to faint them, but then they live on 1 health, and then they can swap out or something, like, or use a different move or heal or something like that. So you have to watch that. That's the only thing when you try and get your item back at the end. So if you were curious and a Pokemon is, if you use, say they're locked into 1 move by the choice item, and say they're disabled and they're going to struggle. If you go for Trick, grab their item off them, they won't be able to, that'll still struggle them because they had to use that move initially. So I just thought I'd ask that question because someone may, be wondering about the outcome of that. But anyway, Clefable kept getting paralyzed here. So it was a slog just to get rid of this Pokemon. And it was also like leftovers recovery too. It made it so long. So what I was trying to do, I was trying to just recover myself up to full so there was no leftovers animation. And I was really generally trying to just get this Clefable to faint itself. I really wasn't trying to stall that much either. So the Clefable had to use an attacking move, which of course was stored power again. I just had to disable it, and then I had to go for recover to get my health back as well. But it went for a really, really long time. And there was still I wasn't really concerned about Bravery at all. I felt like I could get around that. It was the last Pokemon I wasn't 100% sure about either, what the moveset was. But I pretty much had dealt with all these real bulky Pokemon like Clefable and Umbreon and stuff like that. Even the Polito, I guess, was fairly bulky. So I had all of my health back here, and now it has to struggle this turn. So it's got 2 more turns. Yeah, there we go. So it's got 1 more. So here, I could potentially go for a trick and get my Choice Scarf back and do it all again. But I thought, we've only got 3 minutes left of the battle too, so I don't want to be too much of a jerk and do that. So I want to see what the rest of their sets are and stuff. But potentially, I could have got that item back and done the same thing again in this situation. So, and I had more than enough PP to do it as well, or at least do it or save it to the last Pokemon. So Clefable is down at long last. Now the next Pokemon to come is going to be Jumpluff. So Jumpluff can be interesting Pokemon. It can be a physical attacker, special attacker, store, whatever. So I swapped out Sableye. It's like, I want to use my other Pokemon. So I swapped in my Terapagos here. Terapagos had already taken some previous damage. So Jumpluff is going to go for a substitute, which is fine. So like maybe it's like a Leech Seed substitute set, or it could be a sweeping set. And then I got to see the sweeping set. So it's got Sword Dance and substitute. So it's obviously got a grass move. And I know the sort of moves that it gets. It either gets, Bullet Seed, could be Loaded Dice, or it could be Seed Bomb or something like that. That's generally the physical grass moves that this Pokemon will use, right? And I had enough juice as well to take out their sub. So I had Bullet Seed. So like, all right, it's a Loaded Dice set, fair enough. So I seen 2 hits there. Then I was like, oh, it's not Loaded Dice. So it was another item. So I went for Headbutt, great damage there, and then I could see out of the Citrus Berry. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Obviously, there's a good reason they wouldn't be running Loaded Dice. And then I seen Acrobatic. So it is a flying type. So it's like, okay, that works, And that's going to be hitting really, really hard. So this was a Terra Flying set as well. So I thought, let's go into Carbink. I mean, this will activate my weakness policy at least, and then I can go for Flower. So they went for the Bullet Seed here. We had 40 seconds left of the battle. That's going to activate my my weakness policy, right? Which is totally fine on Carbink. And their Acrobatics was not going to be doing like much to me. So they hit me twice. Only twice, which kind of sucked there. So I was hoping for a bit more. I went for Stone Edge and it missed. And then Stone Edge, like, that obviously would have taken out the Jumpluff there. And then Jumpluff was able to live, and take out my Carbink with another 2 hits. So, that would have killed the Jumpluff, but it didn't. So I thought, all right, well, I've got Sableye, but I don't have my item anymore, so I guess I'll go into Necrozma. But this Necrozma set, you guys haven't actually got to see. It was a stored power set, really, really tanky set. So, and then the time ran out, so I don't know who would have won that battle there, but it was pretty close in the end. Some good matchups there, some really long matchups. All right, let's get on to our 6th and final battle here. This one is against Prince Vegeta, and this is actually a pretty good battle too. Now, this battle, I get to feature the Necrozma a lot, because I didn't really get to show that in my other ones, and it did its sort of best work in this battle. So our first Pokemon is going to be Porygon Z, and it's going to go for a trick. So it's going to trick me a Choice Specs, and they got my Blunder policy. So I was kind of hoping I went for an attacking move here. And I went for Zapcan. I thought, all right, I probably would have preferred to go for Blizzard, but, you can't really do much there. So I got confused by Psybeam. It's a troll set, right? And my Regis is going to be confused here. So I'm hoping if I can land a Zap Cannon, it's going to do heaps of damage, but then I kind of hit myself for confusion, which sucked. So then the Porygon got swapped out, and the next Pokemon we have here is actually going to be Probopass. So I thought, all right, Probopass. This is going to use some sort of Steel-type move or something like that. So I was confused still, and then I missed a Zap Cannon. I mean, I was locked into Zap Cannon. It wasn't exactly the greatest thing on earth, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay in. I want to see what they're going to use here. And then I hit myself again. I'm like, I'm really not having a good time at the moment. Then they use Lock On. I'm like, wait, are you going to use Zap Cannon yourself? Like, is it going to be pure assault, right? So I use Lock On. So Lock On generally is coupled by moves that have low accuracy. So the next hit is guaranteed. So I went for Zap Cannon this turn, and it actually landed. It did great damage to Probopass. Probopass has a lot of natural bulk to it, you know, so even a spec Zap Cannon was only a 3-hit KO. So the Probopass is going to get paralyzed that turn. Then I snap out, then I landed another one. I'm like, great, you know, I'm making up for the terrible luck that I had before. So they're going to have a Citrus Berry as the item. And I was wondering if they were actually going to get an attack off, and it was Steel Beam. So they went for the lock-on Steel Beam combination, and I lived on 2 health, and then they fainted. I guess Regice's this beastly special defense allowed it to live that. And the next Pokemon is going to be Dash Bun. Now, Dash Bun is going to finish me off here with a Trailblaze, so that's going to boost its speed. I wouldn't have outsped it anyway. I needed, like, my blunder policy, but as you know, that one already got stolen. So I'm going to bring it back in Diancie. I know that Dash Bun will struggle against Diancie to hit it with a really, really powerful move and get, you know, with a lot of, you know, bulk rise. So I went for Diamond Storm, some good damage there. I was hoping to give it a defense rise on. I never got one. Then it's got Play Rough, right? I went for Diamond Storm again there, and that's going to be enough to take out the Dash Bun in 2 shots, but still no defensive boost. Next Pokemon is going to be Hydrapple, and they've got Super Sweet Syrup as well, but I've got Clear Body, so it's a no-you. I can go for Play Rough or Misty Explosion here. However, we do have a Terra. Now, this is where the battle went bad. I mean, really, really bad. Really bad. If you're enjoying the battle so far, people, don't forget to hit that like button. Are you still watching? Are you still enjoying it? I hope you are. Hope you're enjoying these longer battles. It's going to hit me with a Gyro Ball, and that's going to fake my Diancie. Now, also, I've got a little bit of feedback for you as well. I'm going to try, the other day, I did put up a Lucario video, and it just sort of went over an hour. So I'm going to try and cap my videos at under an hour. So we got, like, you know, 55 minutes-ish around there. So I'm going to sort of keep them around just under an hour. I felt like that's like a healthy amount of time for a video, and that way, you know, it's a good amount of battles, and it's not going to take, you know, 10 million years to upload and process and stuff too. So I think that's like a good amount there. So just under the hour for battles. I had a bit of feedback about that. So around the 45 to 55 minute, I think that's like the juicy spot. Anyway, this was unbelievable, right? This is a Quick Claw Hydrapple, and I got my weakness policy, and it Quick Clawed me right before I was about to attack and then landed a Power Whip. I'm like, are you serious? So this thing was like crazy lucky, right? So I thought, all right, I'll bring in my Sableye. I'm starting to get a little bit salty here. So I went for my trick. Now, as you know, this trick Sableye, I can lock them into one move. So I gave it Choice Scarf, and they're going to go, hopefully, for a Power Whip again. And they did. Power Whip is going to land, and it does a lot of damage, but it's not quite enough to take me out. So I thought, all right, it's time to make this struggle. It's time to make this Pokemon pay, right? So I've trapped it in. They're going for Power Whip again. I was like, damn, they didn't miss, and they landed, and I lived. So I was like, okay, I'll go for Recover here. Let's get some recovery, because surely they're going to miss Power Whip soon, you know, and then I can get my health back. And then they critted me right afterwards. I was like, oh, come on. So it landed all the Power Whip. So I was getting salty. I definitely should have gone for Disable there, but I guess I didn't imagine them to keep landing all their attacks and getting, you know, constant Quick Claw activations when it mattered. So now we're going to bring in the Necrozma. Now, this set is this is probably the best set on my team, I would say. So this set is a Iron Defense set, and it's also got Calm Mind, and it's all about stored power, right? Boosting your stats. So what you need before sending this Pokemon out, you need to get rid of any Dark-type Pokemon. And that's why, you know, since I had Carbink and Diancie, it wasn't much of an issue to do that, right? So they just kept landing Power Whips after Power Whips after Power Whips, like just constant landing attacks. I was like, bro, like, can you miss an attack, bro? So I've got like half my health here. They're still landing attacks. Let me tell you this Necrozma set. This was 252 EVs in health, 96 in defense, 152 in special defense, and Calm Nature. So split defenses, very, very tanky. Terra Psychic is stored power. This was a unit too, a really, really, really bulky set. So anyway, they kept landing attacks here like over and over. I think after all the, like, I had a better chance of them actually running out of PP for Power Whip, right, before I got all my stats up. So this Pokemon's very bulky too, and being Terra Steel, so as you know, I need a lot of boost up to increase the power of stored power. So I was getting as many Calm Minds up here as possible, you know. The only thing I was worried about was getting critted. You know, after that Carbink and things, I was really, really worried. And they never missed. So I went for a Moonlight here, a last-minute Moonlight. I was like, all right, I've got a lot of boost up here. Let's get my health back. Let's get rid of this thing. So it's constantly using Power Whip still. And I had stored power take it out in one shot, which I did guess would happen because it's even... You know, even a bulky resistant Pokemon is going to go down because that's such a high stacking move. Like every stat boost is 20, so it's insane. So in comes Ice Cold Killer. I'm like, this has got sheer cold. I'm not allowing the troll move, and Lapras is going to go down, which is good. The next Pokemon is going to be Armorogue. I knew I'd get outsped by this, and it's going to use Fling. I'm like, what's this? And it's a Fling Flame Orb set. So that would have been really, really annoying to deal with while I was setting up my stored power. So I'm glad I wasn't already burned by that thing. Stored power is still going to take it out there because I've simply got just so many boost up there. The last Pokemon is going to be Porygon Z. And this is like that Psybeam set. They're going to unload a Swift no crit there, and store power is going to take Porygon out. And that is the end of the battle. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, drop a like, leave me a comment, and I'll catch you tomorrow for another theme team. Peace out.